I am a sucker for. If a game has an optional playmat, I'm purchasing it, and my kids, sorry, you're not going to go to college. Hey, my name is Brent here on Cloudy at the Chance of Meeples. Today on the channel, we're heading back to Carvania. We're going to be getting into our caravans. We'll be going through some mountains, trying to collect gems, and then hopefully win the game. Today we're looking at the Eastern Mountains, the second game in the Century Golem Edition line. Of course, this is the exact same game as Century Eastern Wonders. They just rethemed it with this sweet golem artwork, and you're trading gems instead of wooden cubes. And well, let's show you how it plays, what my thoughts are coming up. First, let's cue the thunder. So the radar overview for Century Eastern Mountains Golem Edition looks like this. But wait, first, we're going to spice it up a bit. So here we have setup. It's spiced up. Okay, I won't use that anymore. But yes, it's spiced up. Here I have the optional upgraded player mat, and it just looks absolutely fantastic. Much like the playmat in the first Century game that I've taken a look at. But for now, we will check out this one, and this one is all about, well, it's kind of about the same thing. You're going to be getting some gems. You're going to be flipping some gems to fulfill certain orders. So how do you do that? Well, on your turn, first thing you do is you either move or you don't move. So if you move, you can move to any adjacent space. So if this is me, I can move to any adjacent space for free. So let's just say I move here. I move there for free. At that point, I can do one of three things. So depending on what space I'm on, I can do one of three things. First thing I could do is I could trade. So I could then trade one green gem for 3 yellow gems. But I cannot do that until I have an outpost there. So as you see, this is a yellow gem on this tile. So if I'm the first caravan to set up an outpost, I get it for free. At that point, I would take, on my little player board here, I would take the leftmost gem with that color, so yellow, and then I would put it on this tile, meaning I have an outpost there. I can now activate that outpost, and then I could say, let's say I had a green gem, I could trade then 1 green gem for 3 yellow gems and put them in my caravan. So I could do that. Second thing is I could do is, if I didn't want to activate an outpost, or I didn't have an outpost there, I could just straight mine. And if I mine, then I gain just 2 yellow gems from the supply. Third thing you can do is, you can, if you're at a village, you can then claim that token and trade in the gems for what it requires. But as of right now, I'm not there. So you'll do those things. You'll move, then one of those things. As you can see, there's different colored gems on these tiles, and on your player board, you have multiple outposts in different columns and rows. So if ever you put out an outpost on each of the colors, so I put one on the red and the blue and the green, at that point, I've unlocked the first column. That allows me to gain an upgrade. So I could take this upgrade, and every time I mine, I gain an additional green gem, as well as at the victory point at the end. Or I could just take straight victory points. I could also take a tile that lets me move one extra space for free. I'll get to moving in just a moment. An extra space for free, or I could take this tile, which every time I would then put an outpost out, I could right away upgrade a gem 1 level, or I could just take more space to hold more gems. As I mentioned, one of those tiles lets you move an additional space for free, because on your turn, I said you can move one adjacent space for free, but say I wanted to move, halfway across the board, and I wanted to go here. Well, if I start here, this is free, then 1, 2. So every extra space that I'm moving through, I must then put a gem. If anybody would ever then land on that space, they would be able to pick it up. If ever I move on to a space where there's another person, I would then have to pay them a gem as well. But say I move that, I'm the first one here, so I put a green outpost there, and then I can trade 3 blue or 3 yellows for 1 of each. And I can do that as many times as I have gems. So I can do that twice. I could take 2 green and then 2 blue, and then I'm that much closer to gaining one of these different objective tiles. If ever an objective tile is ever fulfilled, that person will put it down in front of them, hand in those gems, and then they would take the next one off the top of the off the top of the pile. As you can see, this is an X, so that means we are now down to just having 3 villages to trade at instead of 4. If the next person takes this one, that would be removed. This X tile would then move to that one, and then it would open up a new one here. So this X tile will move around for the remainder of the game whenever it shows up. So that's pretty much how to play Century Golem Eastern Mountains in a nutshell. I will also say this, as you can see, as you continually empty out columns, anytime you've emptied a full column, you get to take another one of these tiles. And as you see further along, if you empty the whole board, you gain victory points to whatever's showing at the end. And the end of the game is when someone gains their 4th token like that. You'd add up all these plus whatever's revealed. Any gems that are not yellow are a victory point at the end of the game. Any victory points that you would gain from these special tiles, whoever has the most would be the winner. I will also say that there is, as you can see on the side here, if you have the first original Century Golem Edition, you can then use those cards and you can mix the 2 games. It comes with the rules, and you'd be playing the Call for Adventure. So yes, so you can mix the 2 games, and that's pretty much this game. I like the colors. You got purple, white, brown, and black. Not traditional colors in games, but I like the selection of colors. But overall, yes, there you are. That is the radar overview. Let's check out the final forecast. So the final forecast for Century Eastern Mountains. As you saw in the radar overview, the game looks great. Even without that playmat, the game looks great. With the playmat, the game looks greater. I don't know. Something about playmats and metal coins, and you know, if a game offers a playmat, chances are I'm picking it up and my kids aren't going to college because I don't know. I love it. Components, they're great. I love the little caravans. I love obviously the gems that are in the Golem editions. And so yeah, top-notch production from Plan B Games. The insert, I didn't show you the insert, but it has, you know, spots for everything. It shows you indentations where to put everything. So yeah, fantastic production from Plan B Games on this one. But how does the game play? Just because the game looks good and the components are good doesn't make the game good. And so this one I like. Okay, spoiler, I like this game a lot. It's all about efficiency, much like the first one. In the first one, you got cards, you're just playing cards, swapping gems. This one, you kind of have that spatial aspect of you want to do the same things, but you got to look at the board and kind of where do I want to set up those outposts so that I can then activate those locations to swap gems, and how do I do that in the most efficient way? Added to that, you know, whenever you fill or empty one of your columns of outposts, then you get a bonus. And you know, maybe you know you want more spots to hold gems or moving more, because if you can move around the board more, that's amazing. Or just getting straight victory points, I love that as well. That is something that I'm always going for every time, because I don't know, I just see that as 6, 5, 4, well, however many victory points, and I just see that and I grab that first virtually every time. Or you can have the upgrade where you gain a green gem every time you mine. I've played games where I've taken 2 of those, and so every time I mine, I'm getting 2 green and 2 yellow, and I have that much more flexibility to move forward and drop gems in different spots. And I don't know, this game is just just so good. Emerson Matsuuchi is just a genius when it comes to game design. They're very simple. The whole trilogy of Century games, they're so simple, but then they can interconnect. So you can play this one, as mentioned. You can play this one if you have the first one as well. And so, I don't know. I don't win this game very often because I see my little player board and all those outposts as my objective. I see that as, Brent, you need to get all 20 of these outposts out as quickly as possible. And that's pretty much what I do almost every game. I don't win very often, but I like it that I have won that way, and it is potentially a viable way to win, because if you empty your whole board, you're getting 32 victory points from all those spots. And just, oh man, this is just a fantastic game. Just great. So I'm going to give this one an 80% chance of meeples. I don't like it as much as the original, but seriously, it is so good. And the fact that you can combine the two to make another game where you're using the cards in the first one, and you're using a spatial map in the second one, and you just gotta have that another element of thinkiness. It's just absolutely fantastic. So 80% chance of meeples for Century Golem Edition Eastern Mountains. My name is Brent. Check us out on Facebook, Cloudy with a Chance of Meeples. Remember, grab your umbrella. The forecast is cloudy with a chance of meeples.